Crazy trends come and go, but the craziest trend that's surfacing these days is the tattooing of the eyeballs. Though they might look cool to some, such a procedure has some serious consequences. Because if done wrong, it could potentially cause you to lose your sight. Which is why today we're gonna talk about 6 people who went blind getting their eyes tattooed. However, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe for a lot more videos like this. And without wasting any more time, let's get right into the video. Number 6, Kat Gallinger, a model from Ottawa, Canada. Kat wanted her eyeballs to be purple, so she decided to go ahead and get her right eye tattooed. Now, unlike regular tattoos, getting your eyeballs tatted is a completely different procedure. It's done by using a needle to inject the ink underneath the top layer of the eye and onto the sclera a few times, allowing the ink to spread in patches. This practice requires a high level of precision and experience, but unfortunately for Kat, things turned very bad very quick. She said as soon as the procedure was finished, she knew right away something was wrong. Within several hours, the ink built up in her eye, causing her vision to become blurred along with severe pains. Her eyes started oozing out purple ink, and the next day it was closed shut. According to her, a few things caused this to happen. 1. The artist didn't mix the ink with any saline. 2. He used a large needle instead of a small one, which went too deep into the eye. And 3, instead of doing several small dosages, she took one large injection during a 10-minute sitting. A few weeks later, the doctors told her that she was at risk of losing her eyes permanently, and the internal swelling of her eye hadn't gone down. She went on social media and posted this: "So next Thursday, if this doesn't work, my cornea is way too thin and at high risk of rupturing. If it does rupture before, during, or afterwards, I lose my eye." Thankfully though, she was spared from having her eyes removed, but these days she still deals with mild symptoms and warns people never to do this. Number 5, Popek, a Polish rapper and professional MMA fighter who took his body modifications to another level. With him, it started with one modification, and the next thing he knew, he heard about the tattooing of the eyeballs and immediately wanted to get it done himself. The procedure itself took 40 minutes to complete, and he spent over $6,000 for it. Unfortunately for him though, within the first 24 hours of getting it, the ink started to spill out of his eye. Then came terrible pain, and finally he ended up going blind. Luckily though, the blindness only lasted 1 month. He compares the pain of the tattoo to someone putting cigarettes in his eyes, saying it's a very weird feeling because throughout the whole process, you have to be very relaxed. Upon completion of the surgery, he couldn't sleep and was crying all day. A few months later, he had to perform the procedure again for one of his eyes because green tears would constantly leak out of it. They did one shot and the problem was solved. These days, Popek has to wear glasses because his eyesight has diminished by 30%. Despite all of that, he says he doesn't regret doing the procedure. However, he always warns his fans never to get their eyeballs tattooed, especially if they don't have a sense of direction in life or they aren't financially secure. Number 4, Alexandra Sadowska, a model from Poland. She decided to get an eyeball tattoo to emulate Popek, the guy we just talked about. The tattoo artist allegedly used standard ink for the skin, which is not what's used for the eye. Immediately after the procedure, Alexandra complained that she was feeling very sharp pains in her eyeballs, but was reassured by the artist that the pain was normal and could be treated with painkillers. Alexandra underwent 3 procedures to restore her eyesight, but she wasn't so lucky. She ended up going completely blind in her right eye. The doctors claimed that it was too late and there was no hope for her to regain her eyesight back because the ink had already reached the tissues. At this point, the damages were irreversible and she would slowly lose her eyesight in her left eye as well. Local media said the artist was facing a potential 3-year sentence in prison for unintentionally severely disabling Alexandra. Alexandra's lawyer said there is clear evidence that the tattoo artist did not know how to perform such a delicate procedure. Despite the tragedy, she had this to say: "I'm afraid I'll be completely blind. I will not lock myself in the basement and get depressed. I have sadness behind me, but I live on." Number 3, Sarah Sabbath, a 26-year-old woman from El Paso, Texas. When she was younger, she used to get bullied a lot for being very hairy and having crooked teeth. Getting her body and face tattooed was a way for her to feel more like herself, and the pain she endured from it made her feel stronger. Sarah wanted to get her eyeballs tattooed purple, but unfortunately, things didn't exactly go her way. The artist incorrectly measured the solution using more of the ink and not enough saline. This mistake left her blind. She didn't want to do anything. She didn't like being around bright lights, she didn't like going outside, and ended up becoming very depressed from it. She eventually paid a visit to a specialist and received a series of prescribed eye drops to help her improve her vision. Thankfully for Sarah, her eyesight has become better over time. However, she says her eyes still bother her pretty bad to this day. When asked if she regrets the decision of getting an eyeball tattoo, she said no. Simply put, that experience helped her become a better person, and that's not gonna stop her from getting more tattoos in the future. Number 2, we have Amber Luke, who also goes by Blue Eyes White Dragon. Amber is no stranger when it comes to body modifications. She was diagnosed with severe clinical depression at a young age, and growing up she struggled with her self-image and hated herself so much to the point that she couldn't even look in the mirror. Getting her first tattoo, she realized quickly that she loved the feeling it gave her and felt the negative energy she had was now being released. So naturally, getting those tattoos was a way for her to feel better about herself and feel more comfortable in her own skin. However, her tattoo addiction caused her to fall deeper into the rabbit hole, and she started getting extreme body modifications, which cost her $120,000 total. It didn't stop there, because her most dangerous modification was the tattooing of her eyeballs. The procedure took 40 minutes to complete, and they injected each eye 4 times. Unfortunately for her, the artist went too deep, and Amber knew something was wrong immediately. This mistake caused her to go blind for 3 weeks. She said, "I can't even begin to describe to you what the feeling was like. The best thing I can give you is once the eyeball was penetrated with the ink, it felt like the tattoo artist grabbed 10 shards of glass and rubbed it in my eye." Since then, she has fully recovered, and she says she doesn't plan on getting any more modifications that's as extreme as that one. Number 1, a 24-year-old man whose identity is disclosed. The young man decided to get his eyeballs tattooed, but the worst case scenario happened to him. While the tattoo artist was injecting the ink into his first eye, he experienced a sudden painful loss of vision. However, the man decided to seek treatments 3 days after the incident, and according to experts, the artist went too deep. It turns out that the lens was damaged by the needle during the procedure, so the doctors had to remove the lens of his eyes. They also found that the ink had been contaminated with bacteria, which made matters worse. To control the infection, they had to perform 2 surgeries. But unfortunately for him, he was in so much pain that they had to remove his entire eye. After removing his eye, they realized that even if they could have saved it, he would still have serious vision problems for the rest of his life, because his retina and the inside of his eye was stained with ink. An absolute tragedy, but unfortunately, these are the types of risks that come with a procedure like this. Let me know all your thoughts on this, and also whether or not you guys would ever get an eyeball tattoo. Now make sure to subscribe for a lot more videos like this. Drop a thumbs up for your boy. I love you all so much. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.